The air inside the departure terminal smelled like recycled oxygen and cleaning solution. Day one stood near the airlock, watching the technicians prepare Ji-Woo's shuttle for launch. His hands were in his pockets, and he tried not to look as worried as he felt. Ji-Woo walked toward him with that familiar smile, the one that made her eyes crinkle at the corners. She carried a single bag over her shoulder. Everything else she needed was already loaded on the research vessel waiting in orbit. 6 months, she said when she reached him. That's all. I'll be back before you know it. Day one nodded, but his throat felt tight. 6 months studying the Veil Nebula. 6 months of communication delays that could stretch to weeks. 6 months of her being so far away that if something went wrong, he couldn't do anything about it. You'll be fine, Ji-Woo said, reading his face like she always did. The Veil is just a nebula. We'll take samples, run tests, send boring reports. Standard science stuff. I know, Day One said. He did know. Ji-Woo was one of the best xenobiologists in human space. She had worked on a dozen missions before, but that didn't make watching her leave any easier. Around them, the terminal buzzed with activity. Alien species moved through the space with purpose. A group of Vryn, their insect-like bodies clicking as they walked, stood near one of the viewing windows. 2 Lumara, beings that looked like walking crystals, floated past without a sound. A Thyran drifted by, its gaseous form contained in a specialized suit. This was Velara Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Coalition. Humans had been part of the Coalition for 20 years now, but they were still the newcomers. Still the ones being watched. Still the ones who had to prove they belonged. The announcement came over the speakers in 3 languages. Ji-Woo's shuttle would depart in 10 minutes. I should go, Ji-Woo said, but she didn't move. Day One pulled his hands from his pockets. He stepped forward and wrapped his arms around her. Ji-Woo hugged him back, her face pressed against his shoulder. For a moment, nothing else existed. Not the terminal, not the mission, not the aliens watching from every corner. Come back safe, Day One whispered. Always, Ji-Woo whispered back. They held each other for a few more seconds, then pulled apart. Ji-Woo picked up her bag, gave him one last smile, and walked toward the airlock. The door slid open. She stepped through. The door closed behind her with a soft hiss. Day One watched through the window as she made her way down the boarding tunnel. Then she was gone. He stood there for a moment longer, feeling the empty space where she had been. Then he turned to leave. He didn't notice the 3 Vryn standing nearby, their compound eyes fixed on the spot where he and Ji-Woo had embraced. He didn't see the Lumara recording everything with internal sensors. He didn't know that hidden scanners throughout the terminal had captured the entire moment in perfect detail, and he definitely didn't know that those scanners had detected something impossible. Across the terminal, in a restricted observation room, 3 Coalition scientists stared at their displays. Dr. Velks, a Vryn, tapped her multiple limbs against the console in agitation. Researcher Kryn, a Lumara, pulsed with confused light. Observer Thine, a Thyran, swirled in its containment suit with unusual violence. Run it again, Velks said. The recording played. 2 humans embracing. A simple physical contact. Nothing unusual to the naked eye, but the quantum sensors told a different story dot at the exact moment of the hug. There had been a fluctuation, a tiny ripple in space-time that shouldn't exist. Energy readings that made no sense. A brief distortion in the quantum field that surrounded all matter. It has to be equipment malfunction, Kryn said, though its crystalline voice carried doubt. 3 separate systems, Velks replied, all showing the same readings. All calibrated this morning. Then what are we looking at? Thine asked. None of them had an answer. Velks sent the data to her supervisor. Within an hour, it had reached the Coalition Science Council. Within 2 hours, it was flagged for the Security Council. Within 3 hours, emergency meetings were being called across Vilara Prime. The question everyone asked was simple. What could 2 humans do with a simple touch that affected quantum reality? And the more frightening question, the one whispered in private, what else could humans do that they hadn't discovered yet? Day One knew none of this as he walked back to his apartment. The diplomatic quarter was quiet in the afternoon. He passed a few other humans on the street, nodded to them, kept walking. His mind was still on Ji Woo, wondering if her shuttle had launched yet. His communicator buzzed. He pulled it out, expecting a message from her. Instead, it was from Ambassador Hannah's office. Report to the embassy immediately. Priority 1. Day One frowned. Priority 1 meant drop everything and run. He had never received a Priority 1 before. He changed direction and headed for the embassy. The building was in chaos when he arrived. Staff members rushed through the halls. Security had been doubled at every entrance. Ambassador Hannah herself stood in the main lobby, talking in rapid voices with Captain Tiemann and several other senior officials. Hannah saw Day One and waved him over. Her face was grim. What's happening? Day One asked. We're not sure yet, Hannah said. But something's wrong. The Coalition has closed all human access to secure channels. Our ships are being denied docking permissions. And I just got word that Earth's jump gates are on lockdown. What? Day One felt ice in his stomach. Why? That's what we're trying to find out. Hannah looked at him carefully. Day One, were you at the civilian terminal this morning? Seeing someone off? Yes, Ji Woo. She left for her research mission. Hannah and Tiemann exchanged glances. What did you do there? Tiemann asked. Anything unusual? No, we just said goodbye. I hugged her. She got on her shuttle. That's it. Another glance between them. This time, Day One saw real concern in their eyes. What's going on? He demanded. Before they could answer, the embassy's main screen flickered to life. The Coalition seal appeared, followed by the face of High Counselor Ven, the Vrin, who led the Security Council. Attention all human personnel, Ven said, her translated voice cold and formal. Effective immediately, all humans within Coalition space are restricted to their current locations. All human vessels are grounded. All human communications are to be monitored. This is not a request. This is a mandate of the Security Council. The screen went dark. The lobby fell silent. Day One's communicator buzzed again. This time, it was a message from an unknown sender. Just 5 words. They know. They're afraid. Run. The sender ID said it came from Captain Tiemann's personal account. But Tiemann was standing right there, and his communicator was in his pocket. Someone else had sent that message. Someone who wanted Day One to know that whatever was happening, it was about that hug. That simple, ordinary, human moment of saying goodbye, it was only a farewell hug. Just 2 people who loved each other, holding on for a moment before being separated. But in that moment, something had changed. Something had been noticed. Something had been recorded and analyzed and feared. And now, the entire human race was about to pay the price for a gesture. They didn't even know was Special Ji Woo felt the shuttle shake as it detached from the station. Through the small window, she watched Velara Prime shrink into the distance. Somewhere down there, Day One was probably still standing at the terminal, watching her ship climb into orbit. She touched the window with her fingertips and smiled. 6 months would pass quickly. It always did when she was working. The shuttle docked with the Discovery Dawn an hour later. The research vessel was small compared to military ships, but it was home. Ji Woo knew every corridor, every lab, every quirk of the aging systems. Dr. Sung Min met her at the airlock. The chief engineer was a short man with permanent grease stains on his hands and a talent for keeping old ships running. "Welcome back," he said. "Ready to look at some boring space dust?" "That boring space dust might tell us how star systems form," Ji-woo replied. "Show some respect." Sung-min laughed. "Whatever you say, boss." The crew was small. Just 12 people for a 6-month mission. Ji-woo knew them all. Pilot Yoon-ji, who could fly through an asteroid field blindfolded. 3 other scientists. A medical officer. Support staff. They were good people. She trusted them. The Discovery Dawn left orbit that evening. The jump to the Veil Nebula would take 3 days. Ji-woo spent the time reviewing research notes and preparing her equipment. Everything seemed normal. But on the second day, Yoon-ji called her to the bridge. "We've got a problem," the pilot said. Ji-woo looked at the navigation display. Their jump coordinates were correct. Their systems were green. "What kind of problem?" "Communications. I've been trying to send our daily check-in to Velara Prime. Nothing's going through. At first, I thought it was interference from the nebula, but we're still a day out. We shouldn't have any problems yet." Ji-woo frowned. "Try a different channel." Yoon-ji worked the controls. "Blocked. All of them. It's like someone put a wall between us and Coalition space. That doesn't make sense." "Yeah, well, that's what I said. But the computer doesn't lie." Ji-woo tried not to worry. Maybe it was just a technical issue. They could fix it when they reached the nebula. They had plenty of supplies. Everything would be fine. The Discovery Dawn dropped out of jump space near the Veil Nebula exactly on schedule. The sight took Ji-woo's breath away, like it always did. The nebula was massive, stretching across space like a curtain of colored gas and dust. Blues and purples and hints of gold, all swirling together in patterns that seemed almost alive. "Beautiful," Sung-min said from behind her. "Yeah," Ji-woo agreed. "Let's get to work." They moved into the outer edges of the nebula carefully. The gas was thick, but not dangerous. Their sensors swept ahead, collecting data on composition, temperature, density. Standard procedure. Then the sensors found something that wasn't standard at all. "Ji-woo," one of the scientists called out. "You need to see this." The scan showed a structure. Not natural. Not random gas and dust. Something built. Something huge. "What is that?" Yoon-ji whispered. "I don't know," Ji-woo said. "But we're going to find out." They approached slowly. The structure became clearer on their screens. It was a station or platform of some kind, maybe 10 kilometers across. The design was nothing Ji-woo had ever seen. Not human. Not any of the Coalition species. The metal looked ancient, but somehow still functional. "Should we report this?" Sung-min asked. "We can't," Yoon-ji reminded him. "Communications are still down." Ji-woo made a decision. "We'll document everything and send a full report when we get back. But right now, we investigate. This is what we came out here for. Discovery." The Discovery Dawn docked with the ancient station. Or rather, the station grabbed them with some kind of tractor field and pulled them in gently. The crew watched in nervous silence as massive doors opened to receive their ship. "I don't like this," Yoon-ji said. "None of us like this," Ji-woo replied. "But we're here now." She assembled a team. Herself, Sung-min, and 2 others. They suited up and entered the station through the airlock. The interior was dark at first. Then lights flickered on, responding to their presence. The corridors were wide and tall, built for beings much larger than humans. The walls were covered in symbols that looked almost like writing, but in no language Wu recognized. They walked for 20 minutes, documenting everything. The station seemed empty, dead, a relic from something that happened long ago. Then they found the chamber got. It was round and enormous, with a ceiling that disappeared into darkness above. In the center stood a column of crystal that pulsed with faint light, and next to the column was a holographic interface that activated as they approached. A figure appeared. It looked almost human, but not quite. Taller, different proportions. Its eyes were wrong somehow. "Welcome," the figure said in perfect English. "I have been waiting." Ji Woo's heart hammered. Waiting for what? For humans. For the return of the ones who carry the gift. What gift? Who are you? I am the Keeper, the last remnant of the architects. My creators built this place as a test, a prison, a warning. And you have activated it. The hologram gestured, and new images appeared. Star systems, civilizations, species rising and falling. And running through it all was a golden thread of energy. The architects created life across this galaxy, the Keeper said. They designed species for different purposes. The Vryn for logic, the Lumara for memory, the Thyran for adaptability. And humans were meant to be their masterpiece. I don't understand, Ji Woo said. Humans were designed to weaponize emotion itself, to turn feelings into tangible force, love into shields, anger into weapons, hope into reality. The architects gave your ancestors the power to reshape the universe through the strength of what they felt. Sung Min laughed nervously. That's impossible, is it? The Keeper looked at Ji Woo. When you said goodbye to someone you love, did you not feel a pull? A connection that seemed to stretch beyond the physical? Ji Woo thought of the hug with Day One, the moment when the rest of the world had faded away. She had felt something then, something she couldn't quite name. The architects feared what they had created, the Keeper continued. Humans were too powerful, too unpredictable, so they tried to destroy them. They nearly succeeded. Your species was scattered across the stars, your civilization burned, your history erased. But some survived. They found a world called Earth and started over, never knowing what they had been. Why are you telling us this? Ji Woo demanded. Because you are awakening again. The gift is returning, and the galaxy will soon learn what the architects learned. Humanity cannot be controlled, cannot be contained. They can only be destroyed or accepted. The hologram pointed to the crystal column. This is the nexus, the heart of your power. The architects locked it away here, hoping it would be forgotten. But it responds to you. It calls to you. And through it, you can touch every human mind in existence. Ji Woo stepped back. That's insane. Touch it and see. Against every instinct, Ji Woo reached out. Her gloved hand made contact with the crystal. The universe exploded into light. She felt Day One. Not a memory, not an echo. Him, his presence, his thoughts, his fear. He was trapped somewhere, being questioned. Something had happened because of their hug. The aliens had seen something. They were afraid, and through Day One, she felt others, hundreds, thousands, every human in coalition space, all connected by invisible threads, all part of something larger than themselves. Ji Woo yanked her hand back, gasping. Now you understand, the Keeper said. The question is what you will do with that understanding. Hide it? Embrace it? The choice is yours. But choose quickly. Your enemies already know you are special. Soon they will come to make sure that gift is never used. The hologram faded. Ji Woo stood in the dark chamber, her mind racing. Everything she thought she knew about humanity was wrong. They weren't just another species struggling to find their place in the galaxy. They were something ancient, something powerful, something dangerous. And somewhere far away, Day One was in trouble because of a simple hug. "Get back to the ship," Ji-woo ordered. "We need to figure out what's really happening out there." They ran back through the corridors. But when they reached the airlock, alarms were blaring on the Discovery Dawn. "Multiple ships dropping out of jump space," Yunji reported, her voice tight with fear. "Coalition warships. And they're arming weapons." Ji-woo looked at the ancient station around them, at the crystal column somewhere behind them, at the choice that had just been laid at her feet. The galaxy was coming to silence humanity's gift before it could bloom. She had to decide what to do about that ... One woke up in a white room. His head ached. His mouth was dry. For a moment, he didn't remember where he was. Then it all came back. The embassy. The lockdown. Security forces arriving to take him into protective custody. That was what they called it. Protective custody. Like he needed protection from himself. The door opened. A Vrin entered, followed by 2 Lumara. The Vrin's compound eyes focused on him with unsettling intensity. "You are awake," the Vrin said. "Good. We have questions. Where am I?" Day 1 asked. "Coalition Security Headquarters. You are not under arrest, but you must answer our questions." "About what?" "About what you did at the terminal, when you touched the female human." Ji-woo. Day 1 sat up. "I hugged my girlfriend. That's not a crime." "Perhaps. Perhaps not. Tell us about the energy transfer." "What energy transfer?" The Vrin made a clicking sound. One of the Lumara projected a hologram. It showed Day 1 and Ji-woo embracing. But overlaid on the image were sensor readings, quantum measurements, energy signatures. "Explain this," the Vrin demanded. Day 1 stared at the display. "I can't. I don't know what I'm looking at." "You created a quantum fluctuation, a distortion in space-time. Our best scientists cannot explain it. Yet you claim ignorance, because I am ignorant." Day 1 stood up. "I hugged her goodbye. That's all. If your sensors saw something else, that's your problem, not mine." The questioning went on for hours. The same questions over and over. What did you do? How did you do it? Can you do it again? Who else can do it? Is this a human ability? Are you hiding something? Are you a threat? Day 1 answered truthfully, because he had no other answers to give. He didn't know anything. He was just a diplomat, just a man who loved a woman. Nothing special, nothing dangerous. But they didn't believe him. Between sessions, he was left alone in the white room. No windows, no clock, no way to know how much time was passing. Food arrived at irregular intervals. He tried to sleep, but couldn't. On what he thought was the 3rd day, a human guard slipped him a data chip. 5 minutes, the guard whispered. That's all I could get. Day 1 palmed the chip and waited until he was alone. Then he activated it on the room's terminal. Captain Tieman's face appeared. Day 1, if you're seeing this, I don't have much time. Things are falling apart out here. The Coalition has sealed Earth's jump gates. No one in or out. They're calling it the human question. Whether humanity is too dangerous to exist in civilized space. Tiemann glanced over his shoulder, then continued. It's not just you. Reports are coming in from everywhere. Humans showing impossible abilities. A doctor on Station 12 healed a patient who should have died, and the medical scanners showed energy transfer from the doctor's hands. A pilot on the frontier somehow knew an asteroid was coming before any sensors detected it. A teacher on Velara Prime calmed a riot just by speaking, and everyone who heard her felt an overwhelming sense of peace. Day 1 felt cold. What's happening to us? I don't know, but the aliens are terrified. Some are calling for quarantine. Others want humanity expelled from coalition space entirely. And the extremists? Timon's face darkened. The extremists want us eliminated before we become a threat. What about Ji-Woo? Communication with the Veil Nebula is blocked. But there are rumors. Coalition warships heading that way. I'm trying to verify, but if it's true... He didn't finish the sentence. The recording ended. Daewon sat in silence, his mind racing. Ji-Woo was in danger. Humanity was in danger. And he was stuck in a white room, unable to do anything. He pressed his hands against his face, trying to think, trying to understand. What was happening? Why now? What had changed? The hug. It always came back to the hug. That moment when he held Ji-Woo, when the world faded away, when it felt like nothing could separate them. What had really happened in that moment? He closed his eyes and tried to remember. The feeling of her in his arms. The smell of her hair. The sound of her breathing. The way their heartbeats seemed to sync up. The warmth spreading through his chest. And something else. Something he hadn't paid attention to at the time. A sense of connection that went deeper than physical touch. Like a thread stretching between them. Like he could feel what she felt. Like distance didn't matter, because they were linked by something invisible. Was that real? Or was he remembering wrong? Daewon focused on that feeling. That thread. He reached for it in his mind, wondering if it was still there. And suddenly, he felt her G-Woo. Not a memory. Not imagination. Her presence, clear as day. Scared. Confused. Making a decision about something important. Somewhere far away, inside a dark place, touching something that pulsed with ancient power. The door burst open. The Vryn and her companions rushed in, their sensors beeping wildly. What are you doing? The Vryn demanded. The energy readings. You're doing it again. Daewon opened his eyes. I'm thinking about her. That's all. I'm thinking about the person I love. Stop it. Stop whatever you're doing. I can't stop loving her, Daewon said quietly. You can lock me up. You can question me. You can threaten me. But you can't make me stop feeling what I feel. The Vryn backed away, fear evident in every movement. And in that moment, Daewon understood. The aliens didn't hate humans. They were afraid of humans. Afraid of something they couldn't measure or control or understand. Afraid of emotions made manifest. Afraid of love. On Earth, Ambassador Hana stood in the emergency command center. Around her, screens showed the situation deteriorating in real time. Human colonies reporting attacks. Human ships being denied docking rights. Human families being separated as local authorities enforced sudden quarantine measures. How bad is it? Admiral Kyung-soo asked. Bad and getting worse, Hannah replied. 3 colonies have already evacuated. 5 more are preparing to. We've lost contact with at least a dozen ships. And the Coalition Assembly is meeting right now to vote on the human question. What are the options? Quarantine, expulsion, or elimination? Hana's voice was flat. Those are the 3 proposals being debated. Some of the member species are arguing that humanity should be allowed to leave peacefully. Others want us confined to Earth and monitored. And a few? She didn't finish. Kyung-soo slammed his fist on the console. We've been peaceful. We've followed every rule. What more do they want? They want us to be something we're not, a new voice said. They turned. Dr. Hayin, a physicist who had been studying the quantum fluctuations, entered the room. She looked exhausted but excited. I've figured it out, Hayin said. What humans can do. Why the aliens are afraid. She activated a holographic display. It showed complex equations and energy patterns. Emotions create quantum coherence. When humans feel something strongly, genuinely, It affects reality at the subatomic level. Most of the time, the effect is too small to notice. But sometimes, when the emotion is powerful enough, when two people create a resonance. She highlighted the readings from day one and Ji Woo's hug. The effect becomes measurable, observable, usable. You're saying we can do things just by feeling? Kyung-soo said skeptically. I'm saying that what we feel is doing things. It always has been. We just never noticed because we thought emotions were just chemical reactions in our brains. But they're more than that. They're a form of energy. And humans generate more of it than any other species in the galaxy. Why? Hyein shrugged. I don't know. Evolution? Design? Does it matter? The point is that we're different. Fundamentally different. And the aliens can't cope with that. An alarm blared. One of the technicians looked up, her face pale. Admiral, we're receiving a priority alert from the frontier. The Harmony colony is under attack. 3 unidentified ships. They're not broadcasting coalition transponders. Kyung-soo's jaw tightened. Pirates? No, sir. The ships are using coalition weapons. Coalition tactics. This is an official attack disguised to look unofficial. Hannah felt something break inside her. They had tried peace. They had tried diplomacy. They had followed every rule and met every standard. And now they were being hunted anyway. Contact the fleet, Kong-soo ordered. Tell them to move to defensive positions around Earth and all remaining colonies. Anyone who wants a war can have one. Wait, Hannah said. If we fight back, we confirm everything they're afraid of. We prove we're the violent, dangerous species they think we are. If we don't fight back, they'll kill us all, Kyung-soo replied. I'd rather die fighting than die cowering. The room fell silent. Then Hyein spoke again. There might be another option. If emotions affect reality, and if humans are the only ones who can generate this kind of energy, then maybe we can use it. Not as a weapon. As a shield. As proof that we're not what they think. How? Hannah asked. I don't know yet. But we need to find out fast. On the Discovery Dawn, Ji Woo made her decision. She opened a channel to the approaching warships. This is Ji Woo of the research vessel Discovery Dawn. We are not hostile. We are not armed. We have made a discovery here that you need to understand before you do something you'll regret. No response. The ships continued their approach, weapons charging. Ji Woo looked at her crew. At Yoonji. At Sung-min. At the others who trusted her. Get to escape pods, she ordered. Get out while you can. What about you? Sung-min asked. I'm going back to the Nexus. If emotions are power, then maybe I can generate enough to keep you all safe. That's suicide. Ji Woo smiled sadly. Maybe, but Daewon is in danger. Humanity is in danger. And I'm not running anymore. Ji Woo ran through the ancient corridors alone. Behind her, she heard the evacuation alarms on the Discovery Dawn. Her crew was leaving. They would be safe. That was all that mattered. The chamber with the Nexus was exactly as she had left it. The crystal column pulsed with light, waiting. The Keeper's hologram appeared as she entered. You have chosen, it said simply. I don't have a choice, Ji Woo replied. Those ships will destroy everything, everyone. Yes, they fear the awakening. The same fear that drove the architects to their own destruction. Then tell me how to use it. How to protect my people. The Keeper gestured to the crystal. Place your hands upon the Nexus. Open your mind. Let the connections flow. But be warned. The Nexus amplifies emotion. If you are afraid, it will create fear. If you are angry, it will create rage. You must find the purest feeling within yourself and hold on to it. Only then can you shape what happens next. Ji Woo approached the crystal. Her hands shook. Outside, the warships were almost in firing range. She thought of day one. The way he smiled when he was proud of her. The way he held her when she was scared. The way he believed in her, even when she doubted herself. She placed her hands on the young. Nexus. The world dissolved thought. She was everywhere and nowhere. She felt the crew in the escape pods, terrified but alive. She felt the aliens on the warships, their fear and duty battling inside them. She felt day one far away, locked in his white room, reaching for her across impossible distance. And she felt something else. Threads, millions of them, connecting every human in the galaxy. A network of emotion and thought that had always existed but never been seen. Nexus showed her how to use it. Energy flowed through her, out of her, into the space around the ancient station. A barrier formed, invisible but real. When the first weapons hit it, they simply stopped. The energy dissipated harmlessly against nothing. On the lead warship, Commander Vrit stared at his displays in disbelief. Fire again, he ordered. Another salvo. Another failure. The human station remained untouched. What is that? His weapons officer asked. I don't know, Vrit admitted. But keep firing. We have our orders. Inside the station, Ji Woo felt each impact. Not as pain, but as pressure. Like someone pushing against her. She pushed back, holding the barrier steady. But she could feel something else, too. Fear from the alien crews. They didn't want to be here. Didn't want to kill. They were following orders because they were told humans were dangerous. Because they believed the lies. Maybe she could show them the truth. Ji Woo reached out through the Nexus, touching the minds on those ships. Not controlling. Not forcing. Just showing. She shared memories. The moment she and Day One met. Their first conversation. The time he stayed up all night, helping her prepare for a presentation. The hug at the terminal. Simple human moments. Simple human feelings. Love, hope, connection. On Vrit's ship, crew members gasped. They were feeling emotions they had never experienced before. Not threatening. Not dangerous. Just deeply, powerfully real. Commander, someone said. I don't think they're trying to hurt us. Vrit ignored him. Continue firing. But other ships were breaking formation. Their commanders were human sympathizers, or simply confused by what they were feeling. The united attack was falling apart. Sir, we're receiving a transmission, the communications officer reported. From Velara Prime, Admiral Kyung-soo of the Human Defense Fleet. He says he's bringing reinforcements. Vrit felt cold. If human military ships arrived, this would become a full war. Everything would spiral out of control. Hold your fire, he ordered reluctantly. All ships hold position. Let's see what they want. Far away, Day One felt Ji Woo's presence grow stronger. The thread between them blazed with light. Through it, he could see what she was doing. Feel what she was feeling. The guards burst into his room again, but this time Day One was ready. He stood and faced them calmly. Get Ambassador Hana, he said. Get her now. I need to speak with the Coalition Council. You are in no position to make demands, the Vrin said. Then make it a request, Day One replied. Please, before this gets any worse, let me show them what we really are. Something in his voice made them hesitate. The Vrin consulted with her companions, then left. When she returned, Ambassador Hana was with her. Day One, Hana said. What's happening? Every sensor in the building is going crazy. They say you're at the center of it. I'm connected to Ji Woo, Day One explained. She's using the Nexus. She's showing them what emotions really mean. But it's not enough. They need to hear it from someone here. from someone who can speak for all of us. Hannah understood immediately. The council is an emergency session. If I can get you in front of them, do it, Day One said. We're running out of time. 20 minutes later, Day One stood before the Coalition Council. Every major species was represented. The chamber was enormous, designed to hold thousands. Now it held the fate of billions. High Counselor Ven spoke first. Human, you have been brought here to explain your people's abilities, to convince us that humanity is not a threat. Speak carefully. Your words will determine whether your species continues to exist in Coalition space. Day One took a breath. Through the connection with Ji Woo, he could feel her strength, her love, her hope. He drew on that. You're afraid of us because you don't understand emotions, he began. You see them as weakness, as chaos, as something that clouds judgment and creates conflict. And you're right. Emotions can do all those things. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. But emotions are also what make us human. They're what make us care about strangers, what make us sacrifice for others, what make us reach across the void to connect with someone different from ourselves. You've built a civilization on logic and order. That's admirable, but it's also lonely. He gestured around the chamber. How many of you have friends? Real friends. Not allies. Not partners. Friends who you care about for no logical reason. Who you'd help even if it cost you everything. Silence. That's what you're afraid of, Day One continued. Not our power. Our connections. The fact that we can't be isolated. Can't be controlled. Because no matter how far apart we are, no matter what you do to us, we'll always find each other. We'll always care. And that kind of bond can't be broken by force or fear. But it can be used as a weapon, Ven countered. Your own history proves that. Human wars. Human violence. Human destruction. Yes, Day One admitted. We've done terrible things. Because emotions can destroy as easily as they can create. But we've learned. We've grown. And we're still learning. That's what you need to understand? Humans aren't perfect. We never claim to be. But we're trying. Every day, we try to be better than we were. And our emotions don't make us weak. They make us want to improve. A new voice spoke. Elder Loomis of the Lumara. The human speaks of connection, of bonds that transcend distance. Is this what your sensors detected? Is this the threat we face? Day One nodded. It's not a threat. It's a gift. And we want to share it. Not to control you. Not to harm you. But to show you that there's more to existence than survival and efficiency. There's joy. There's love. There's hope. Prove it, Ven demanded. Show us this gift. Day One closed his eyes. He reached for Ji Woo across the stars. And through the nexus, through the network that connected every human, he reached further. He touched the minds of everyone in the chamber. Aliens who had never felt what he felt, who had never understood. He showed them, the first day he met Ji Woo, the nervousness, the excitement, the way his heart raced when she smiled, the years that followed, the arguments and the reconciliations, the quiet mornings, the inside jokes, the plans for a future together, the hug at the terminal, the fear of losing her, the desperate hope that she would come back safe, and beneath it all, the simple truth. He loved her. Not because it made sense, not because it served a purpose, but because loving her made the universe feel right. The chamber erupted. Some species recoiled, overwhelmed by the intensity. Others sat in stunned silence, processing what they had just experienced. A few, like Elder Loomis, pulsed with something that might have been wonder. This is what humans are, Day One said quietly. This is what you're afraid of. Not weapons. Not power. Just the ability to feel things so deeply that reality itself takes notice. And yes, it's dangerous. Yes, it's chaotic. But it's also beautiful. And it's what we are. Ven was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice different than before. Less cold. Less certain. The vote will proceed, but I will recommend reconsideration. It wasn't victory, but it was a chance dot in the Veil Nebula. Ji Woo felt day one success. She felt the tide turning. The warships were withdrawing. The immediate threat was passing, but she also felt something else. The Nexus was showing her more. There were others like them out there. Humans who had touched the ancient power and awakened. Not many yet, but growing. And she felt the Nexus itself, ancient and patient, waiting to see what humanity would become. She pulled her hands away from the crystal, gasping. Sung Min was there, having refused to evacuate. We did it, she said. We're going to be okay. For now, Sung Min replied. But this isn't over, is it? Ji Woo looked at the Nexus, still glowing softly in the dark. No, she said. This is just the beginning. The vote took 3 days. 3 days of debate, argument, and fear. 3 days of humans across the galaxy holding their breath, wondering if they would be expelled, or worse. One spent those days in diplomatic quarters, no longer a prisoner, but not quite free. He could feel Ji Woo through their connection, far away but present. She was coming back. The Discovery Dawn had been cleared to return to Coalition space. On the 3rd day, the Council reached its decision. Ambassador Hana came to tell him personally. Her face was carefully neutral. Well? Day 1 asked. Humanity remains in the Coalition, Hana said, but with conditions. Day 1's relief was sharp and immediate. What conditions? We're classified as Category 5 integration species. It means we're recognized as having unique abilities that require monitoring. Human colonies must register citizens who show active Nexus connection. Human ships can travel freely, but are subject to additional inspections. And humans in sensitive positions must undergo regular evaluations. That's basically second-class citizenship, Day 1 said. Yes, Hannah agreed. But we're alive. We're here. And we can work with this. The alternative was expulsion or elimination. We'll take the victory we have. It wasn't the ending Day 1 had hoped for, but Hana was right. They had survived. That was what mattered. What about the attacks? He asked. The colony that was hit. Hana's face darkened. Officially, those were rogue elements. The Coalition disavows them. Unofficially, we know some member species supported it. But there's no proof, and we're not in a position to demand justice. Not yet, so we just accept it? We remember it, and we make sure it never happens again. The Discovery Dawn returned to Velara Prime 2 weeks later. Day 1 waited at the same terminal where everything had started. This time, no one stopped him. No one questioned him. But everyone watched the shuttle docked. The airlock opened. Ji Woo stepped through, and Day 1 forgot about everything else. He ran to her. She ran to him. They met in the middle of the terminal and embraced. And this time, they didn't care who was watching or what the sensors detected. This time, they held each other because they had almost lost the chance forever. I felt you, Ji Woo whispered. The whole time. I felt you reaching for me. I felt you too, Day 1 replied. In the council chamber. In the White Room. Always. They pulled apart enough to look at each other. Ji Woo was thinner, tired, but her eyes were bright. What happens now? She asked. Day 1 smiled. Now we figure out what being human really means. The months that followed were strange. Humanity's place in the galaxy had fundamentally changed. Some aliens avoided humans entirely, afraid of what they might do. Others sought them out, curious about emotions they had never experienced. Human colonies began to change too. People who had awakened to the Nexus connection started gathering, learning to control what they could do. Dr. Haiyan established research centers to study the phenomenon scientifically. Admiral Kyung-soo reorganized the defense fleet to account for new capabilities. Not everyone was happy. Some humans wanted to suppress their abilities, to prove they could be like other species. Others wanted to use them aggressively, to establish dominance. Most just wanted to understand what was happening to them. Day-1 and Ji-woo found themselves at the center of it all. They had been the first to demonstrate the connection publicly. Other humans looked to them for guidance. "We're not leaders," Ji-woo protested during one meeting. "We're just scientists, diplomats." "You're more than that now," Elder Loomis said. The Lumara had become an unexpected ally, fascinated by human emotions and eager to learn. "You are bridges between what humanity was and what it is becoming. Between your people and mine. What do you want from us?" Day 1 asked. "Show us how to feel," Loomis replied simply. "My people have existed for 10,000 years. We remember everything, but we have never felt joy, never felt love, never felt hope the way you do. Teach us. Help us understand." It was a strange request, but it was also an opportunity. Over the next year, Ji-woo and Day 1 led workshops. Small groups of humans and aliens, learning to bridge the gap between logic and emotion. It was slow work. Many aliens couldn't grasp the concepts, but some did, and those few began to change. A Vrin engineer learned to feel curiosity not as directive, but as joy. A Thyran explorer discovered wonder in the beauty of a nebula. A Lumara historian felt sadness for the first time when reading about extinct civilizations. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The Nexus remained in the Veil Nebula, guarded now by both human and coalition forces. Ji-woo visited it regularly, learning its secrets. The Keeper taught her how to use the connection responsibly, how to help others awaken, how to prevent the darkness that had destroyed the architects from consuming humanity. The architects failed because they created the Nexus without understanding it, the Keeper explained. They gave it power, but no purpose, no limits. It amplified their emotions until they destroyed themselves and everything around them. How do we avoid that? Ji-woo asked. By remembering that emotions are meant to be shared, not hoarded. By connecting with others instead of dominating them. By choosing love over fear. It sounded simple, but Ji-woo knew it wasn't. Humans had capacity for both. The challenge was choosing which one to feed. 2 years after the hug that changed everything, Day 1 in Ji-woo stood in front of a small gathering. Human friends, alien OIs, family members who had traveled across the galaxy to be there. They were getting married. The ceremony was simple. Human traditions mixed with elements from coalition cultures that wanted to participate. Elder Loomis officiated, her crystalline form glowing softly. "You have shown us something we thought impossible," Loomis said. "That beings can connect across vast differences. That emotion is not weakness, but strength. That love is the most powerful force in the universe." Day 1 took Ji-woo's hands. Through their connection, he felt her happiness, her hope, her absolute certainty that this was right. "I loved you before I knew what the Nexus was," he said. "Before I knew humans were special. I loved you just because you're you. And I'll love you the same way forever. Not because quantum physics says we're connected, but because my heart chooses you every day." Ji-woo smiled, tears in her eyes. "I almost lost you. Almost lost everything. But we survived. We found each other across impossible distance. And now we get to build a life together in a galaxy that's finally learning what we've always known. That connection matters. That feelings matter. That love matters. They kissed. And around them, humans and aliens alike felt the surge of emotion through the nexus. Joy, hope, promise. It wasn't just a wedding. It was a declaration. Humanity was here. Humanity was staying. And humanity would share their gift with anyone brave enough to accept it. 6 months later, Ji Woo discovered she was pregnant. The news sent shockwaves through both human and coalition circles. No one knew what a child born after the Nexus awakening would be like. Would they have greater abilities? Would they be able to control them from birth? Would they be dangerous? Day One and Ji Woo tried not to worry. They focused on preparing, on building a nursery, on reading books about parenting that seemed inadequate for what they faced. Dr. Haiyan visited regularly, monitoring the pregnancy. Everything looks normal, she assured them. Whatever abilities the child might have, they're developing naturally. That's what worries me, Ji Woo said. What if normal for our child is extraordinary for everyone else? Then we'll teach them, Day One replied. The same way we're teaching the rest of humanity. With patience, with love, with hope. The baby was born on a quiet morning. A girl, healthy, perfect. They named her Nari, which meant lily in Korean. Beautiful and strong. When Day One held her for the first time, he felt the Nexus connection flare. Nari was already linked to it, her tiny mind reaching out instinctively. She felt his emotions and reflected them back, a mirror of love and wonder. She's like us, Ji Woo whispered. But more. She was born into this. She'll never know anything else. Is that good or bad? Day One asked. I don't know. But we'll help her figure it out. Nari grew quickly. By 6 months, she was responding to emotions around her, smiling when people were happy, crying when they were sad. By a year, she was deliberately reaching through the Nexus, touching the minds of her parents even when they were in different rooms. Other children were born with similar abilities. A new generation of humans who would never know a world without emotional connection, who would reshape what humanity meant. The galaxy watched nervously. Some species saw it as proof that humans were evolving into something dangerous. Others saw hope, the possibility that future generations would be even better at bridging the gap between logic and emotion. Day One and Day Ji Woo did their best to prepare Nari for the life ahead of her. They taught her to be kind, to think before acting, to understand that power came with responsibility. You can feel what others feel, Ji Woo told her when she was old enough to understand. That's a gift, but you must never use it to hurt people. Never force them to feel what you want them to feel. Connection is about sharing, not controlling. Nari nodded seriously. I understand, Mama. And Day One believed she did. 5 years after the hug, Day One stood once again in the terminal on Velara Prime. This time, he wasn't saying goodbye. He was greeting Admiral Kyung-soo, who had news. The Coalition has made a decision, Kyung-soo said. They're establishing the Emotional Integration Initiative, a formal program to teach interested species about human abilities and help them develop their own emotional understanding. That's good news, Day One said carefully. What's the catch? You and Ji Woo are being asked to lead it. The Council specifically requested you. They trust you, or as much as they trust any humans. Day One looked at Ji Woo, who had joined them with Nari in her arms. Through their connection, he felt her uncertainty, her fear, but also her hope. We'll do it, Ji Woo said. Someone has to. Might as well be us. So they did. They traveled to worlds across Coalition space, teaching. learning, building bridges. It was hard work. Not every species accepted them. Some humans thought they were betraying their own kind by helping aliens. Some aliens thought they were trying to corrupt other species. But slowly, things changed. The galaxy became a little less cold, a little less logical, a little more alive. And every night, when the work was done, Day One and Ji Woo would hold each other, just like they had at the terminal 5 years ago. Just a simple embrace. Nothing more. But through the nexus, through the connection that bound them together, it was everything. It was love made real, hope made tangible, the future made possible. It was only a farewell hug, but it had changed everything. And it would keep changing things for as long as humanity existed.